Good evening. We begin with the long-awaited court decision in the high-profile case of an off-duty Toronto police officer and his brother accused of beating a 19-year-old black male back in December 2016. In the 4-hour online verdict read by a judge, Michael Theriault, that police officer, was found guilty of assault, but both he and his brother were found not guilty of aggravated assault and attempting to obstruct justice. A warning first, some of the details can be graphic.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
A crowd of Dafonte Miller supporters chanted outside the Oshawa courthouse while Justice Joseph DeLuca delivers his decision. Miller was 19 years old when he said he and his friends were walking down a residential street in Whitby in the early hours of the morning when the two brothers, Michael and Christian Theriault, who were at their father's home, came out to question them. That's when he testified he ran and eventually got beaten by Michael Theriault, who was punching, kicking and hitting him with an object. Michael, the off-duty Toronto cop, and his younger brother Christian both pleaded not guilty to the charges of aggravated assault and obstruction of justice, saying that they pursued Miller because he was breaking into vehicles, including theirs, arguing that he attacked them and they were acting in self-defense. Dafonte Miller testified that he suffered multiple severe injuries following the beating, among them that he was left blind in one eye and needed prosthetics. He had bruising, a fractured wrist, and nerve damage because of the tight handcuffs placed on him by Michael after Durham police responded and provided them. The judge considered two very different versions of what happened that night, noting throughout that there were inconsistencies in the stories presented by both sides, a major one regarding a pipe with blood splattered on it. In reading his judgment, though, the judge noted that there is need to consider the racialized context as he was meticulously combing through the case. Of Michael Theriault, he says, "On the whole, I'm satisfied that Michael Theriault's initial intent was not to conduct an arrest. It was likely to capture Mr. Miller and assault him. He was neither acting in self-defense nor in the course of a lawful arrest. As such, he committed an unlawful assault." He says, though, he's satisfied a pipe was used as a weapon. He, quote, was not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that this assault caused the eye injury. Mr. Miller had already suffered the eye injury by that point in the incident. As such, Michael Theriault can only be found guilty of assault and not aggravated assault. And Justice DeLuca said it was unacceptable that Michael did not identify himself as a police officer. He also said that Miller and friends were most likely car hopping. But in assessing the then 19-year-old's credibility, he added, "I must keep in mind that as a young black man, Mr. Miller may well have had many reasons for denying any wrongdoing, including distrust of law enforcement. This is understandable, especially in light of his injuries and the fact that he was initially arrested and later charged with a number of criminal offenses related to this incident." The judge said, though he found Christian Theriault was not completely open and forthright about what happened, he is not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the evidence amounts to an attempt to obstruct justice. Now, this reading took over 4 hours long. It was over 60 pages. At one point, over 20,000 people were tuned into this live stream. That was also attended by the Theriault brothers. They were seated side by side. They didn't really show a lot of emotions throughout the 4-hour period. Now, meanwhile, Michael Theriault is expected back in court on July 15th. He is currently, during that July 15th court date, they will be talking about sentencing. Now, right now, he is out on bail. He has been suspended with pay from the Toronto Police Services. And following that court decision, we also saw somewhat of an increased police presence here around Toronto Police headquarters, but it has seemed to clear since then.